welcome back. I am Casey Pacheco, the host of Meet the Experts. Now, today, I don't have just one guest, I have two guests for you. They are the creators of Nursefully. Now, we talk about burnout, we talk about supporting nurses, but these nurses actually went into radical action and they created this platform. Come with me, let's go meet them. Welcome in, ladies. Hi.
Hi, Casey. Hi, everyone.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. So we have Kimberly Chow and Stephanie Chu, and both of you both are the creators of Nursefully. Now, I know everybody want to know what is Nursefully and how did you get this started? You want to share?
Absolutely. Kim and I actually met working at a cancer center in New York. I was working in the ICU and Kim was working on our palliative care team. And together we always were bonded over supporting nurses at the bedside, especially those who deal with really difficult situations and high acuity units. And Kim and I both moved out west around the same time, and we reconnected and we said, hey, let's do something for nurses. This was slightly post pandemic, and nurses were reeling from the burnout and just the trauma from the pandemic. And Kim and I got together and we're like, this is what we've always bonded over. Let's do something on our own this time. So we obviously had very, very many different iterations of our idea. We've pivoted multiple times, but we finally landed on creating a therapy practice and a wellness platform for nurses by nurses.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many ways that we could have gone, as Steph was saying. And I think how we finally landed on the model that we're on currently is after really doing a lot of interviewing and talking to nurses directly. Both Stephanie and I are nurses. We've lived that life. We've been directly at the bedside and also in management roles. And it was really important for us to talk to as many nurses as possible to hear their experiences and what they were looking for. Because I think out there, especially now, a lot of people can come up with ideas that we want to prescribe to nurses, right? Give them what we think they need or what we need, rather than just pausing and listening. And what nurses continuously told us is this need for a safe space, for practical, relatable support. And where they often found that was in the social worker's office on their floors. So at our cancer center, social workers did not do case management. They did more of the psychotherapy for patients and family members. And so nurses would see them as their allies and go into their office and hide from the trauma of the work and the chaos of the day. And so the more and more we heard that, we felt more confident that bringing in therapists and LCSWs, not just LCSWs, but therapists that have worked alongside nurses or have been nurses themselves, because we do have a psych NP on board as well. That was going to be our best bet to make sure that when a nurse entered a virtual therapy room, they would be met by someone who spoke the language, who walked the walk, and could really relate to what we're going through right now, which I think is really not easy if you aren't in the healthcare world.
Yes, that is so true. Well, I'm sure if someone wants to access this app, Nursefully, like how would maybe they're looking at this for the first time and they never even heard of it. So how would they get access to it?
Yeah, so it's not an app. We are web-based. So we have a website that has a directory of our therapists that we have written beautiful bios for and taken some wonderful pictures. And so they can go to nursefully.com, and there is a list of therapists based off of state. Currently, we are operating in New York and Colorado. So those are the partnerships that we have with the therapists in those states. We, of course, would love to branch out to more, but we wanted to start small so that we could really talk to the nurses in these specific geographic regions and grow as needed. I think, we are a bootstrapped company. We are trying to keep really just focus on delivering need and not get carried away of this idea of getting, tons and tons of financial support and backing and changing our vision to meet the vision of the stakeholders versus what we believe we want for our community and what our community has expressed to us. So right now we're in New York and Colorado, and we are teaching workshops that are geared towards the needs of nurses, and that is not state specific. That's a national reach, and those can all be, again, found on our website.
Workshops. This is beautiful. Workshops for nurses. And this is specifically for their mental health. And they could just register on nursefully.com.
Yes. The first one we're launching. Oh, Steph, please go.
The first one we're launching will be in January, and it's called Mindful Shift. It's a meditation workshop for nurses. So what we're trying to do is arm nurses with a toolkit that they can use when they're struggling, when they're stressed, instead of what oftentimes is the natural visceral reaction, which is to doom scroll after they get home from work after a long, stressful shift. We want them to do something that's actually productive for them, that will help them come back to work and come back to their lives, their family, their friends, more of themselves, and with a fuller tank. So that's what we're starting with. It's actually co-led by one of our Nursefully therapists, who is a licensed social worker, as well as a nurse practitioner named Kelly McGee, who is a trained meditation teacher. So she has both experiences, both as a nurse at the bedside, as a nurse practitioner, and an administrator. And she's also been a meditation teacher for many years. So her experience in both worlds, I think, will be really valuable. And then it's going to be co-facilitated with from a therapeutic lens with the therapist that is our clinical director.
That's beautiful. I always say social workers are like nurses BFFs, and I love how you guys are bringing it together. And, I try not to talk too much, but I have to say this. You think everybody is into meditation and they know about these wellness practices, but so many people don't. So what you're doing is absolutely incredible. I hope to get the information. Well, I will leave the website at the bottom for the viewers who are listening in. They can click. But I wanted to take just a moment just to get to know you both, wonderful people as individuals. I just wanted to pick your brains for a little bit. I prepared some rapid fire questions, so I would just ask each of you just to hear your perspective. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Ready. Let's go.
Okay. So my first question is, Stephanie, if you could give advice to your younger self at the start of this journey, this nursing journey, what would it be?
At the start of my nursing career?
Yes.
I tend to be a very safe person. I plan ahead. I veer away from risk. And I think that, especially when I was younger, I would have advised myself to go out there and take more risks and try new things and like just gather a more vast plethora of experiences that really suit my interests. I think I was worried when I was younger. I originally wanted to be in the Peace Corps, right after nursing school, but the logical side of me was weighing the pros and cons of, not using my nursing degree immediately after graduating nursing school and coming from a place of fear and scarcity that I wouldn't be able to find a job if I did 2.5 years in the Peace Corps and then went into a nursing career. I thought it would be a lot more difficult. And, sometimes I look back and I wonder what my life would have been like if I had had that experience or something similar to it. And I've kind of always veered on the straight and narrow up until probably the last 5 or so years.
Yes. Take that risk, girl. You take that risk. I love it. And I think the pandemic kind of changed us, right? It gave us a lot of perspective. I have a question about legacy, so I'll come back to you. But I wanted to ask Kim, when you started nursing school, I don't know if you remember, what was your thoughts? What would you tell a younger Kim what advice would you give starting nursing?
I mean, Steph and I are so very similar, based off of the way that we were raised, our cultural backgrounds. And so it was always like follow a path that of success, right? My parents were like, if I was going to go into nursing, I was going to get a good job and be secure and build security around me and build a life. And I think it's a completely different game right now. I think the generational shifts are happening in good and bad ways. I love the path that I took. I really do. I wouldn't change a lot of it, even though it was really, really hard, because what I did very early on in my career was say yes to a lot of things. Anything that anybody asked me, I said yes. And it was exhausting, but I was younger and I had the opportunity to do that. I think I would tell my younger self to start my career with a little bit more vision on where I thought I saw myself going, and giving myself the grace to know that that was likely going to change, maybe drastically, but maybe subtly. And so just going into your career with a sense of where you want it to fit into your life, and not feeling like you have to follow anybody else's path or expectations. Because I think right now, nurses that are leaving the bedside get flack from other nurses that think that we should be at bedside for life. And I also think we really need nurses at the bedside, and we can't lose and hemorrhage nurses in the droves that we're seeing. So I think there has to be a balance, and I think the more clear we are with ourselves as young nursing professionals, the more predictable the landscape is going to be in general. So I think the total community benefits when we all have a way to communicate our vision and our goals for ourselves in our career, and to say no to the things that don't align with what you're trying to get to. And that's okay, as long as you're staying kind of focused on what you think is most aligned with the career that you want. So that's what I would say. But again, I don't think I would have had that if I didn't say yes to a million things. So it's easy for me to say that in retrospect, but I would do that now.
Yes, and it's so interesting. Now you talk about how you both have similar cultural backgrounds. So are you from the same place, or are you from different places?
We're both Chinese American New Yorkers.
Okay.
I don't know how much of the New Yorker. I think a New Yorker part comes into play, but definitely the Chinese background definitely.
Yes. So this is the plug. I tell you, I'm trying not to talk too much, but 我会说中文. Let me tell you why. So this is a global platform. My contents reach people all around the world, especially in the healthcare field. But I have such a heart for diversity. When I became a nurse, I was in New York, and my first company that I worked with as a nurse was a Chinese company, and I was I was the only Black person there, and the nurses gave me all the people in the hood who lived in the shady neighborhood.
It makes sense.
I was doing home health, and I loved it. I loved it because, when we talk about transforming healthcare, all around the world, healthcare needs transformation. And I think it takes all of our brains and all of the different diverse perspective to really play into that transformation. So my question, we're going to get into Chinese later, but my question, I really want to know, from your perspective, from your background, from your culture, if you had the power, Kim, to transform healthcare, what would you do? If you had just one thing you had to focus on, what would you do for transformation?
I would empower nurses. I think nurses are the heart of everything we do. And it's almost to a point that it's cliche to say. Everybody says it, but I think very few people stand behind it. I think the community wants to applaud us as the heroes of healthcare, but are not willing to support us in the ways that we need. And I think nurses take on the role that we're assigned and don't know how to step into our own power. And so I think our healthcare system is imploding, and it's been taken so far away from providers and from the people that are actually doing the work, control, and how systems are run, and what quality means, and what success metrics are, that if we deliver it back to nursing professionals and even like physicians, there are so many wonderful physicians that I've worked with. I think the more frontline workers get involved with bigger decisions, whether that be in larger organizations or smaller businesses that we lift and maybe join together. I think that is what I would want for our healthcare community, the superpower of understanding our worth and executing on it, and standing in that in our power, and showing the rest of the world how to do it well, and that you can still make money, right? It would be silly to think that we want to start businesses and not make any money. I think that we can certainly have profitable businesses while still keeping our values intact and leading with care and the best interests in mind of our population. So yeah, that's what I would love to see for the healthcare, the future of healthcare.
That's powerful. I love how you say executing on it.
And listen, strategy is one thing, execution is completely another thing. And it's not even healthcare professionals. Nobody, like, the execution is the hardest piece.
It is. It truly is. It really is. But thank you for sharing. I love your vision. I love your vision. Stephanie, I'm bringing you into this visionary world. If time and money and resources were not you had no barriers, how will you transform healthcare? If you had one thing.
Two things are coming to mind for me. One of them is to implement more cost transparency and more checks and balances within hospital and healthcare costs in general, pharmaceutical companies and their costs, because somehow other developing countries are able to have a Tylenol that costs a lot less than an American Tylenol does. Yeah. And if we had lower healthcare costs, there's just so much of a positive trickle-down effect that would impact every stakeholder within healthcare: the patient, the hospital, the healthcare workers, the nurses. Nurses could get paid more and have better staffing ratios if healthcare costs were lower, which would therefore impact the quality of patient care that we deliver.
Yes.
The second thing that's coming to mind kind of touches on what Kim said, but I would have a nurse present at all like big C-suite level decision-making meetings, because like Kim mentioned, there's the people that are making a lot of the really big decisions are kind of removed from what's going on the front lines, and that perspective is so valuable. So having a bedside nurse or a chairside nurse, depending on what kind of decision is being made, and based on what environment that big decision is going to impact, I think having a clinical person, a frontline worker present at those meetings to provide that perspective would make for better leadership decisions.
I love it. I showed up at a board of commissioners meeting and I'm like, where is the nurses who is speaking out for the health of the community? And I'm not talking about just the public health, the well-being of the community, who is speaking on behalf. So I agree. We do need that nursing voice. Okay, my second question. See, I can talk a lot. I wanted to know, so now people are hearing about Nursefully and they might be like, whoa, I would love to support this. I would love to be part of it. How do I bring Nursefully into my organization? Or if I'm a nonprofit, how do I connect with you? How do we widen the reach in my area so that Nursefully, the resources of Nursefully, can be part of my system? If a nurse is watching and asking, how would you direct them?
I think so. There's two ways. When we built Nursefully as a therapy platform, a lot of the advice we had received from business professionals and nursing executives is to partner with organizations. And we specifically chose to market and work directly with nurses because in our interviews, a lot of nurses expressed a lack of trust in the resources that hospitals provide, particularly mental health, the employee assistance programs that already exist, right? That there's a star that gets put next to your name if you reach out to one of these organizations, which isn't true that I'm aware of. But I do think that there is a negative stigma associated to workplace affiliated mental health therapy platforms. So if you are a nurse looking for therapy, you don't need to go through your organization. We strategically are trying to reach nurses directly because we want this to be for you and not for an organization per se. I do think that these workshops that we're creating are opportunities to work with organizations because they have nurses at volume, and we have programs that are meant for larger crowds, right? So versus the one-to-one, this is more of a net of a community of nurses that we can try to help with practical tools that they can use and implement on their units together, and also individually. So I would say that if there are nurses interested in bringing us to our organization, looking at our website and reaching out to one of us directly to speak about what we currently exist, but also what we can create. I think the point of being such a small and nimble company is that we can understand the needs of whoever is interested and develop based off of that. We really take this confident humility approach where we don't know what we don't know. And so if there's something that you guys need, we work with you to develop a program that makes sense for you. So organizational wise, nonprofits, check out workshops, but also just message us directly. We're very quick to answer. It's just Steph and I and our wonderful therapists, but on the back end, it's us. So we are always eager to connect and learn. But for nurses individually who are watching this, we built this for you, not the whole entire system. We built this for you. So if there's something that you are looking for specifically, tell us, reach out to us. We want to hear from you because we're only going to get better if our nurses are the ones that are guiding us.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So many times I feel like we get jaded as nurses where so many people say this is for you, but then there's a catch behind it. So we kind of just tune it out, but this really is from nurses, built for nurses. So if you're looking on, check it out. Tell your coworkers about it. Spread the word.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you guys, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for Nursefully? What would you like for it to be said? I have been around the LinkedIn streets for a while now, and I've seen so many different companies, especially around the pandemic. They came and then they left. But I don't feel like it's bad that they left. They left a beautiful legacy. So when you look back at what you have done and what you have built, what would you like the legacy of Nursefully to be?
Kim, you want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think we don't know where Nursefully is going to go. This started out as a passion project with Steph and I met Steph by chance because of a shared passion, and she became one of my people that I just carried with me. And so I think already we've won because there's no one else that I want to be doing this journey with, and I've had so much fun. And I think our relationship has grown more. And so we never went into this thinking that it was going to be a massive thing. I think the more we built out this idea, I think the legacy that we want to leave is to show that nurses can do this. There aren't enough nurses that are stepping into these types of roles where they build within the system that they're around. I think we need disruptors, and I'm so impressed by the nurses that are out there, but I think that there are ways to play the game and do it the right way and inject your morals and beliefs and passions into it without having to drastically innovate. Nursefully is not innovative. We are literally a therapy practice, and we're building workshops for nurses that they can use that are not cookie cutter, that are specifically for our community. So again, I'm like, if you're watching this, you can do the same exact thing. The blueprint is already out there, right? Like, we know insurance doesn't pay as well as it should as private pay, but it pays well enough if you know what your operating costs are. And also, people can't afford out-of-pocket therapy. So we can think like nurses and say like, okay, the majority of the population either can't afford it or are not going to pay for things out of pocket. So how do we work within the parameters, but still make it better? So I think the legacy that we want to leave is that nurses, one, can do this.
Yes.
And two, you don't always have to come up with the sexiest, newest thing in the world to be successful. Lean into the evidence, make sure whatever you're doing is supported by evidence, because I think the more we move away from that, the faultier our foundation is. Nursing is grounded in evidence, and we are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that people see that. So I would encourage nurses to keep working within the evidence, but just do it a little bit better. That's all you have to do. I think you can be successful by just doing it a little bit better and the way that nurses do it, and you will be successful. And that is what I hope. It's just, I hope more nurses try to build things like this, because it's not just helping within our nursing community, the patients that we could help if we played with, like, worked within these parameters, but did it our way.
Yes.
I think we can change the world. I think we can change the world, and I think we can solve a lot of problems. Yeah, and sorry, that was long. I'm very long-winded, so you keep on saying that, but I'm the one that talks a lot. So.
No, I love it because you're shifting so many different cultures. With one invention, you're shifting nursing culture, you're shifting mental health culture, you're shifting the culture of us as healthcare providers seeking out mental health, care. You are doing so many shifts in just one development. And I love how you say, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I just put myself in it, and your presence and your embodiment of, I want us to be okay. This is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And so as I'm looking at Nursefully, when I hear the word, I hear nurse, I hear full. And usually when I hear nurse and full, I only think about our bladders being full because we got but when I hear Nursefully, it makes me think joy. It makes me think about a nurse being full and joyful. It's such a good play on words. I don't know who came up with the name, but I love it. I love it. It makes me feel like every nurse should be exposed to Nursefully and to their own independent source of mental health and well-being platform. And there's so many mental health. You have Headspace, Calm, all these different ones, but to have one structured just for nurses, I think that's really powerful. I'm gonna call people out here now. If you're looking at this and you're a nursing instructor, I really think get the nursing students involved before they get onto the floor, before they get into the career and the profession. Give them the resources early. And a lot of times I love doing these lives on LinkedIn because the nursing instructors are so busy, but they really need to be aware of resources to give the students, because this is what shifts our culture as nurses. So if I could put any plugs in there for the schools, if they want to do some kind of collaboration, I love collaborating people together. If they want to do collaboration with Nursefully, West Coast, East Coast, I think this is a really good platform for students, even last semester students, if you want to gift it to them, just so that they're aware. I think that would be a beautiful collaboration.
I love that you said that, because if you asked us if we could pick any one audience to reach, it would be the student nurses. Because if, so many nurses only reach for help when they're in crisis. And at that point, the amount of cumulative suffering and grief and trauma that is already built up to get people into the therapy door is so immense as is. And so therapy, and we've said this before, it's not that you enter therapy and you're in therapy for life, but we do know that there are pivotal points in our lives where therapy could be really, really helpful. And it is going into this career that we know is extremely hard and wearing on our bodies, on our minds, on our emotions. And I think in the best intentions, right, this is strategy versus execution. I could sit for hours and play with spreadsheets Do I execute on them? Ask my husband. He will tell you the truth. But when you're in that room with someone that you feel like there's more accountability, there's more agency, there's more, you're in a room and you're working. And even if all of the work you do is in that 1 hour, that's 1 hour less that you're spending on your phone, on a spreadsheet, on this idea of rumination of what it should be, what it could be, who's hurting you, right? Versus talking about it and planning how you're going to move forward. So yes, any nursing instructors, nursing schools, you are our dream client. You are the dream people that we want to work with, because you have our future in your hands. And the best way we're going to do this is to start building from the bottom versus trying to knock it all down, which we still can try to do, but
yeah. Not going to get all doom and gloom, but I think we all know that nurses are leaving the bedside and some altogether leaving the profession. And if we don't have the nurses that we need to take care of, our patients, our country, like who's going to take care of us in 20 years, 30 years? So I guess that kind of goes back to your legacy question, Casey. For me, I hope Nursefully's legacy is that we did our part to try to help the problem of a nursing shortage that will, without a doubt, impact our whole country, especially in the next couple of years, given the recent data that has come out. And so starting from the get-go and having nursing students build really good habits before they even get to the bedside it would be a dream for us.
That's beautiful. I look back when you see some of the things that you say, who made this decision? And you look back and you see somebody made a decision 30 years ago, and now we're left to carry it. Now, in 2020, the world was impacted. We as nurses, we really carried the world, no matter where you are, where country, with diversity, we carried the world through the pandemic. We comforted people. We were there for them. And we right through it all, we were shouting, the way we nurse is not sustainable. We need to take care of the people taking care of the people. And I do this show and I invite nurses on and all those who are, working for the holistic well-being of humanity as proof that we didn't just sit down and talk about it. We didn't stay on LinkedIn just writing articles about it, but we went into action. We created, we innovated, we stepped outside of our comfort zone. And this is my legacy. This is my legacy that 20 years from now, your kids would say, wow, mom is back. She did amazing, Who knows with technology where all of this is going to lead. But I think we lead with our hearts saying, nurses, we love you. We care for you. We want you to take care of yourself. And here, Kimberly and Stephanie created a platform. It's in New York, it's in Colorado, and hopefully more people would, as we air this, would join on, and it would be even available for more around the States and maybe around the world. But thank you so much. I am so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful for your work. And thank you for coming on the show today.
So much fun. Thank you so much, Casey. It was really wonderful to meet you, and we love how much support you're giving us.
Absolutely. I support you. And if any of our viewers have questions, you see, I asked Stephanie and Kimberly all my questions. If you have any questions for them, leave it in the comments below, or even better yet, connect with them on LinkedIn and ask them yourself. And because they may, together we may come up with even more opportunities to help our fellow nurses. So audience, thank you for tuning in. Ladies, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you.